Hello, and welcome back to the Corhazi Outlook, a Grand Archive TCG podcast centered around tournament results and competitive metagame analysis.
We are here to provide a glimpse into what's being played at larger tournaments and help you prepare for your next big event. This is episode 28. I am Ken, also known as Chromatic. With me, as always, is Aubrey, also known as Jim, the Eternal.
How's it going?
And today, it's time to continue our Nationals coverage as we go and see how things are happening in Europe.
Yeah, time for EU Nationals.
Yeah. So this is the second of four big national qualifiers that are happening during the 2026 season, the RDO season. And we'll be seeing a lot of people try to get their gauntlets locked in. And,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot to see, a lot to sort of keep track of as we sort of see the new RDO metagame slowly shift and evolve. So there are a few surprises that I think we weren't really prepared for.
Yeah, we had some really good insights, I think, with the previous event at this point, which is NA Nats and Ascent Las Vegas combined.
Yep.
We are still waiting for OCE Nats and SEA Nats.
Yes.
So definitely a couple more events to come, all in kind of the lead up to Worlds in August.
Yeah. So I will also make a mention just as sort of part of what we've been up to. So there was the Fable Icebound Slam Cup that happened recently as well. We're not going to be covering that event just because it's a big event and we sadly won't have time to cover everything that happened there. That being said, if you would like us to cover it or similar events in the future that are sort of outside the normal purview of, Weeb-sponsored events, let us know. Let us know if you want to get that opinion.
Always happy to hear about comments.
Yeah, totally. So anyway, so Jim.
Yeah.
How have things been? Ever since we got back from Vegas?
I'll be honest. Vegas, I focused real hard for Vegas.
Yep.
And afterwards, I was kind of, I could take a break.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been doing some casting for the TCG Online Weekly.
Yeah.
That's been really enjoyable.
Excellent.
Haven't really found a chance to make it out to locals. So kind of chilling in terms of playing GA.
Yeah. I've been out at locals trying a few new decks. I think I had some requests from sort of folks in our testing group for decks that they wanted to get better practice into. So I picked up Suzaku for a little bit. I've been trying the new Machi special because I can't help myself. I have to try it. It's interesting, but the bricks are scary. So I'm still sort of working my way around that.
For sure.
And then I'm also just getting ready for store champs. We have a couple more store champs coming up down the pipe. And I think there'll be a little bit of practice after that. But after that, it's kind of just looking and seeing what other people are doing this season.
Yeah.
I think sort of the local craze will have died down and we can sort of focus and sort of look around and see what
our regionals are over. So once this next batch of store champs is over, it's kind of like sit on the sidelines, see what's going on, and wait till sort of the next big event.
Yeah, start doing some really, really bizarre Pantheon brews.
I'm so in.
It's about time.
All right, well, before we go too crazy on Pantheon brews, we should probably talk about
we have to talk about this
EU
event.
Nationals.
EU Nationals.
Okay, so the first thing I want to say is EU Nationals, small event, right?
Yeah. So this is larger than the previous EU Nationals, which had 60-some competitors, but not by a huge amount. I believe we had 84.
A little bit bigger than the previous EU Nats.
Yes.
So that's good.
Yeah.
I think this says a lot, obviously, says a lot about EU as a region, right? We have a fair amount of people flying in. In fact, first place was taken by a foreigner, I guess, if you want to put it that way.
North American.
A foreigner to the region.
Yes.
But also, I think it says, EU Nats, like, I don't want to take away anything from the players that are there, right?
Yeah.
You look at Asuna, you look at Henki, you look at some of these players, and they're very, very strong players.
Oh, yeah. They're, like, strong, dedicated folks.
But the amount of people that we're seeing come out of that region to these sort of international level events is just lower.
Yes.
You can kind of read into that a couple of different things. Maybe just the community is smaller. Maybe due to the size of Europe as a quote-unquote region,
right,
it's a little bit harder to travel from one place to another.
True.
But, it's a little bit like knowing that the sort of regional meta for Europe is a little bit smaller, a little bit more distilled. I think that plays a lot into some of the decisions made coming into this event.
Yeah, I think you'll see that like a lot of the sort of ways that this meta breaks down is very concentrated.
So if you look at the overall ELO for this event, I think it tells a similar story.
Yeah.
1354, which is, again, higher than the previous EU Nats.
Yes.
So showing, a little bit of a higher average skill level at this event, but not quite as high as NA Nats.
Right.
So sort of says something about who is showing up at this event, who is willing to travel to this event, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
All right. So all that said, just to kind of paint a picture of what that event looks like kind of at the start from the outside, sort of the overall vibe, I guess.
Yes.
Of the event. But yeah, let's dive into the stats. Let's look at the numbers.
Yeah, let's take a look here.
So overall, we have 23 fire decks for 27% of the event.
All right.
38 water decks for 45%.
That's quite a bit.
24 wind decks for 28%.
Yeah, okay. All right. I
So-
can definitely see the water numbers being high for a very obvious reason.
Absolutely, right? Yeah, exactly. For obvious reasons,
Yes.
water is pretty heavily spiked here.
Yeah.
Right? The most popular decks coming into this event, absolutely Water Aetherwing.
Yes.
No question.
100%.
I think people are expecting to see maybe even a bit more water than this, considering that Genbu was decently popular. There was a little bit of fractals. We're not seeing much in the way of water Exia here, like we were at NANAX.
it kind of died down. I feel like that was a bit of a flash of the pan. I know there were like two main versions of that deck with like very disparate strategies, which you're not really seeing as much here.
Yeah, I think I think Flash in the Pan kind of sends the wrong message because I think it was a meta call.
Yeah.
Maybe a good meta call, maybe a bad meta call. Difficult to say.
Yeah.
And I think in the end, the performance of it didn't quite meet what they were hoping to get.
Yeah,
out of it.
I believe it was said it was a good overall meta call, but just not the right meta call for the room itself.
And this is definitely the kind of room that you need to make a really solid meta call in order to do well in.
You really have to know. You have to be very targeted.
Yeah, and kind of in that vein, I think we should take a look at kind of the decks that showed up here.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at the overall numbers, obviously Water Aetherwing the most popular deck in the field.
20% of these decks are Water Aetherwing decks.
Yeah, that's really a lot of Water Aetherwing.
Tremendous.
We then go to Genbu after that.
Yeah.
And then the first non-water deck is Razor Gale after that.
Gale, yep. Unexpectedly.
And then
expectedly
I think the most unexpected deck here, Water Allies.
This was not something I expected to see going into this event.
Really was not.
I think a lot of ally strategies are sort of like one and dones or like just sort of like very weird anomalies. I wasn't expecting a concentration of Water Allies decks.
Yeah, and it's interesting because obviously the winner of the event brought Water Allies.
Yeah.
There were a couple of people that brought sort of like a team version of Water Allies.
Yes.
And then a couple of random entrants also brought Water Allies, kind of unrelated to any of this. And because of the small numbers at the event, 5 decks is enough to make 6% of the field.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's weird because normally after this we'd be sort of going into what we call the long tail.
Right.
Because everything here is like less than 5% representation.
And that is a really interesting thing here is 20% Water Aetherwing is sort of maybe a representative of the bad old days when one deck was kind of taking over the field.
Yes.
And this deck didn't even win.
It did not, no.
It did convert well.
Yes.
It performed well.
It did.
But if we look at the top 8, it's 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
Like solid presence, but again, not winning.
Yeah, it's far away from sort of the like slime heyday.
Yeah.
Where it was like you expect to see like 6, maybe even 7 of them in top 8.
Right, exactly. And that was on these same kinds of numbers, 20% of the field, 25% of the field, something like that. So Water Aetherwing, popular.
Yes.
Definitely something that you can defend against. And I think that's where people were coming into this event as like, hey, we need to be able to defend against Water Aetherwing in order to do well.
Yeah, if you're going to take out one deck, be ready for that deck.
Absolutely. So yeah, a ton of other decks, and they're all kind of the obvious also rans, with the one exception of the only Crux decks in the field were Wind Crux.
That's unusual.
Yeah.
Unexpected.
There were 2 Merlin decks in the field,
Yes.
and there was one Merlin, Sheen Merlin.
Yeah.
And the only Lorraine decks were Wind.
We're all wind.
Wild to me.
Wind.
I love seeing it. I think it's a really cool deck.
Yeah.
Not performing particularly well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But really cool deck.
It's interesting when you look at these decks because they're sort of scattered all over the place. So I'm kind of wondering if they'll get more focused over time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then kind of everything else is everything that's in the meta.
Yeah.
All the way down
So
to
many things.
like you have 3 ofs of almost everything that you'd expect to see here, and then it starts dropping down to 2 ofs and 1 ofs of stuff that like people just bring these decks. Right? With the one exception, I would say Wind Astra is down into the 2 of region. You'd expect that to be in the 3 of.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's just a giant pile of 3 ofs of everything.
I think this really shows that the level 1 decks have kind of been surging back to popularity. So the more traditional, greedier level 3 decks are having a bit of a harder time. A little bit.
I mean, the thing to take away from here is the overall broad meta that we're used to seeing from DTR is somewhat still here.
Yeah.
In terms of what people are bringing to the field that's not Water Aetherwing, you have a ton of choices.
Yes.
But a lot more people are shifting over to meta decks than were in DTR and PTM.
Yes.
So that's kind of where we're at in the overall picture here.
Yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting to see this kind of trend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So enough about day 1.
Yes.
That's not what people are here for.
You want to hear about day 2.
I do want to hear about day 2.
Which is very, very compact, especially compared to day 1.
Yeah, so 19 people with the 15-point threshold.
Yes.
Out of the 8-round event.
Yes.
Which is like 8 rounds for
8 rounds for
Nats.
that level
For
of
day
people
1.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a ton.
Was 8 rounds for day 1, and then 4 rounds day 2, and then top 8, right?
Yep. Very busy weekend.
Absolutely. All of these events are always busy. Usually you see 9 rounds day 1, but of course with the smaller number of people, down to 8 rounds.
Down to 8 rounds.
So 15 points was required to convert to day 2, which gave it a 22% conversion rate here.
Okay.
Which is slightly higher than average.
Higher than average, yeah.
And I think that reflects the number of players being somewhat close to the extra round cutoff.
Right.
But yeah, so 12 rounds total for Swiss instead of 13.
True.
So let's talk about what made it. Overall, the element numbers are about the same.
Yeah.
21% fire, 47% water, 32% wind. And these are going to be somewhat rough numbers because the count is so low.
Yeah, the count is much smaller compared to normally what we would talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
So if like one more wind deck had made it in, that'd be a jump up to like 38%.
Huge
So it's,
shift.
the percentages don't necessarily align with things as smoothly. But they are still fairly close to what day 1 looked like.
Right.
Fairly similar numbers, fairly similar conversion rates. The only things that really converted at a weirdly high rate, because like you can't really draw a lot of conclusions and stats from decks that were 3 in the field.
Right.
But the decks that really had enough numbers represented in day 1 to give you like decent information from the stats. Water Aetherwing with a 35% conversion rate.
Okay.
Right, 6 of them made it to day 2, which is like that's good. That's good compared to the numbers that were at the event.
Very good.
Genbu, 8 decks in the field.
Yep.
1 deck made it to day 2.
Ooh.
So that's bad. Bad conversion rate there.
Not so great.
And then Razor Gale is the other one that you can kind of look at. 2 of the 6 decks made it. And this is 33%, but it's like, what are you going to do with that number?
Yeah, right. That's just how it is.
And at this point, the stats are just noise.
wildly inflated.
Yeah, it's because of the set is because the set of people is so small. It's really hard to pull anything informational about these out of these stats.
Yeah,
it's really hard to
sift
sift this into something that looks good statistically.
Right.
Like you could tell a story from this if you want to, but it's not a lot of good data.
Yeah. With a bigger sample size, we could definitely get more granular with these trends. But for here, it is what it is.
Yeah. So, obviously, Water Aetherwing, the most broadly represented deck in day 2. 6 made it to day 2. 2 Ablation decks, 2 Wake Up decks, 2 Water Allies decks, and 2 Razor Gale decks.
Oh, yeah.
And then 1 ofs down the rest of the field, kind of similar to the 3 ofs that we saw over the course of the event.
Right. Very cool.
Yeah. So, widespread.
Yes. Very widespread.
And really interesting how this looks on the archetype breakdown.
Yeah, this is very counter to what we normally see, I think.
Oh, yeah, wild. Normally, that curve is in the middle, not on the other end.
We have inverted the curve, ladies and gentlemen.
Right? So, Water Aetherwing being the aggro deck of choice for the field. No Suzakus, by the way.
Whoops.
0 Suzakus in this field.
What happened here?
They didn't make it. Oh, they didn't make it.
They overcooked the bird.
But yeah, so six aggro decks. And then a bunch of decks that really still fall into this combo category.
Yeah,
right?
quite a
We
few.
have Wake Up.
Yep.
We have Dragon. We have Oblation.
Yep.
We have Razor Gale.
Yep.
And that's the majority of the field is in either this aggro side or this combo side.
Yeah. it just feels like a very fast and loose kind of format.
Absolutely. It's fascinating that this is the way this is going.
Yeah.
Which says something, because usually control does really well in a combo-heavy environment.
Right.
But we're seeing the most, call it respected deck right now, is aggro, Aetherwing.
Yeah.
Right? So control, like, you've really got to tailor your deck appropriately in order to be able to fight that.
It's true. Like, there's a lot of things that could happen. If you just go with your singular game plan, you might just get exploded.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
the mid-range, all but gone, and control decks also not doing super well into this field of a lot of water Aetherwing.
All right.
Fascinating how this looks.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild.
So I guess we should talk about specifics.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about a few decks that we thought were neat. Obviously, there are not a huge number of decks. We're not going to cover every single deck, but we'll call it some highlights here. So the first one I want to start with is Pew Pew Stan in 18th place on Fire Luxem Xander. And I'm mainly calling this out because it's a mostly traditional Luxem deck, but there's a little bit of spice here in the form of the Photic Blade and in the form of Elian Luster Loyalty to add a bit of more attack-based damage onto the traditional Luxem game plan. Is this the way for the future of Luxem? Well, this deck did go 5-6-1, so maybe not the greatest example, but
good day one, terrible day two.
But it is the top-ranking Luxem deck in this tournament.
I'm a little sad to see no optical control.
Optical control was a huge haymaker. The Seiryu decks were doing crazy things with that in NA Nats. But maybe we'll get a chance to see it again. Who knows? In 17th place, we have Water Aetherwing Diana by Fate Tsukasa. And I'm mainly calling this one out because he's running a one-of copy of Janyu Fate's Premonition in the main board. So
I would love to know what that's for.
Right? You're talking about optical control. It's like, this is like, if you see a specific card that will ruin your day, you can just put this out and play it. And I would also likewise like to know exactly what he's planning on bringing this out for.
So what is the Fantasia count in this deck? Is it really just Janyu?
I believe it is just Janyu. And
so
of course,
that's a 3.
Fracturize.
Oh, and anything you fracturize,
Yep,
sure.
yep.
Okay, so this says cards with the chosen name cost 3 more to activate.
Yeah, basically.
All
So,
right.
Not too bad.
I guess with
Built to
how...
Frostbind?
No, just thinking about like how close to the ground this deck runs, right?
Yeah.
Like how fast and how much work your opponent needs to put in order to fight you off.
Yeah. If you name like one specific answer that your opponent has, that could be the difference between like.
Oh yeah, like you name Resolute with this, or you name
yeah.
Song of Frost with this.
Yeah, then you're having a great time. So pretty cool.
Even better than VPT.
Yeah, not bad. And he's got the treads too on top of that. So
Of course he does.
Crazy. In 16th place, we have Casual on Wind Crux Lorraine. I like this list because it has a bunch of cheeky one-ofs in it.
Okay.
It's got the Fire and Water the Fire and Water Exalted cards, which it can use with Spirit Blade Ascension and also for various forms of imbuing. It also is running a Briskwind Trotter, a Rose Eternal Paragon, a Stifling Gyre, all the things that you can glimpse out with Fairy Whispers. And it's got a one-of Spirit Blade Retribution for when you just need to slap someone really, really hard.
Interesting. I do
like
think
that.
we should call out Windcrux overall, a deck that had a decent amount of representation at the event.
Yeah.
But one of the worst win rates for the average elo that brought it.
Yeah. I want to see how these lists kind of focus up because I kind of feel like they're trying to do like really just general value stuff, and I think that's fine, but I don't really know what the straightforward win con is.
Yeah, and it just didn't do it this event for sure.
Yeah. So Windcrux players, please enlighten us. Show us your sauce. In 14th place, we have Shoko.
That is definitely how you pronounce
That's
that.
100% how you pronounce it. On Fire Coup CL. So this is our top-ranking CL in the Coup category. And the main appeal here is he's running 2 copies of Accursed Strength, which goes really well with Foe Awakening.
Oh,
so
that is new.
Yeah.
That with the Abnegations and the Umbra Sites, that could actually be a decent amount of draw.
Foe Awakening, what about Foe Awakening draw 3? Or draw 4 if you have an Umbra Site under there. That's pretty nice, honestly. Also, Nocturne's Oblivion for some hard removal and Sprawl just to mess with them or get some extra damage in. All good options here. So I like sort of seeing where the coup decks are going in the wake of Grim Pastiche no longer being around. I'm excited to see how they continue to brew. In 13th place, we have Hanky the Goat, who we have to shout out because it's Hanky.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Well, he is on Aetherwing Diana.
Yeah, and there's not really anything noteworthy about this list. but it's a very powerful list.
Yeah, I mean, generally, I think it's actually really important to call out that Henki the Goat, known for his 53 ally brews, is bowing to the meta and bringing Water Aetherwing Diana.
Yes.
We also saw like Asuna, a Tristan diehard.
Oh yeah.
Is out here running Razor Gale, like looking at the meta and being like, I can't bring the deck that I usually stand.
Yeah.
I need to bring something more suited to the meta.
This is also, we had Aqua at NA Nats and Las Vegas being like, but you're an Ari main. You going to play Ari for the season? He's like, sorry, I can't play Ari this season. He comes in with Water Aetherwing, and I'm like,
yeah, this is a sharp step back from DTR, where the message was play what you
play what you want,
and now it's play Water Aetherwing.
Play Water Aetherwing.
if you can't play it, beat it, and not everything can beat it.
Not everything can. In 12th place, we have Team True Isaac on Water Genbu. Nothing particularly spicy to call it with this list. It's just a good Genbu list, and it's the top placing Genbu list. So
yeah, Genbu not very well performing. I think it says something that the only Genbu that made it to day 2 was Team True Isaac.
Yes.
Like this is one of those players. It's like kind of whatever you give him will probably make day 2.
Yeah, definitely. Like he's got the chops for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And Genbu, while generally a solid deck, doesn't seem to be doing well into this field.
Yeah. There's also a certain amount of variance involved with this deck, and I kind of wonder how much of that played a part too. So, but still, a great showing. In 9th place, we have Zello Mage on Wind Seiryu, the highest ranking Seiryu. And this list, it's becoming increasingly difficult to really isolate what category or bucket these Seiryu lists are falling into, because we sort of have the Turbo Seiryu, we sort of have the Influence Seiryu. This one I think is learning in more towards the Turbo territory, because it's running a healthy amount of arcane cards and 4 Byakos commands, as well as a few good top ends in the form of Regal Inquisition and Royal Oathguard. Imperial Countermeasure also is quite good, and those Fate Stones of Heaven.
Yeah, this definitely feels like a deck that wants access to its advanced element as fast as possible, right?
Yeah.
I can't imagine a influence builder version of Seiryu sitting here with 3x Ayala and 2x Imperial Galebind. Like, I'll just sit at level 1 for a bit.
Yeah, no, this is like, you need to get to level 3, and then you're going to aggressively recoup your influence, and also aggressively destroy their board as best you can. So it's pretty interesting. I feel the storm building within me again, and therefore I may have to give this a spin. But
I think also 4 Dungeon Guide, 4 Beseech.
Yes, Beseech the Winds as opposed to the Beseech Fate Stone is interesting. Because I think we are seeing a bunch of things out there like Stifling Gyre, Stifling Traps. I think Beseech the Winds being a spell is also very important. So, yeah, good choice there. So that's everything below the top 8 that we want to call out. So let's just get right into it, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So in 8th place, we have Noelle on Water Aetherwing Diana. This is a tried and true deck for Noelle. I think this is one that she knows very, very well, pilots very well. There's not a huge amount of changes. The one I will call out is there are now 2 overlapping visages in the board. Good little bit of Shenju hate there, and any sort of other difficult allies you might want to deal with. So I think that's very potent. And also a main board Mustang to deal with the mirror and any other tricky items. So
yeah, Noelle also, one of those people is kind of championing a more ally-centric approach for Water Aetherwing.
Yeah.
We have Diana Haunt Reminiscence in here.
Good card here. Snow White is in here too.
Yeah, one Snow White. So definitely diversifying her threats here.
Yeah.
And trying to present more ways in which to interact with her opponent's board.
Yes, absolutely. So it definitely looks like it's doing quite well. So big shout outs to her for making this work. In 7th place, we have Quest on Fire Oblation CL.
So we did get an Oblation in the top 8.
10 bricks.
10 bricks.
10 bricks.
Good brick count.
Notably, Xenadrail, who placed 10th, also was running the 10 brick package. So maybe this is sort of the optimal number of bricks. I personally still prefer all 12, but your mileage may vary. Obviously, I'm not a pro.
I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of really liked AoE's Pouvoir build. I want to see more of that.
Oh, yeah, no, the Pouvoir build was sick. I honestly needed to get that one to spin myself. I think that's really cool. AoE, please keep cooking that. I want to see it. But yes, so Quest doing a lot of good things here. Also running a little bit of interaction in the forms of Verucan Acolytes, Topsy Decrees, Resolute Stands, Nocturne's Oblivion.
This
Very
is
fun.
Honestly, I feel all of the good. No Carter's main.
No Carter's main is pretty spicy. Although then again, once you get your combo online, you are just blasting them.
That is true. So
Yeah.
maybe the idea is just draw Balefuls and don't be bad.
Maybe there is also a Pouvoir in the sideboard, so there could be a little fun there.
I guess with Angelic Channeling, along with some of the other options that they have here, maybe they feel like they have enough draw that they don't really need the Carters.
Yeah, you can also stack your Oblations on the top once you banish it with Channeling, so that really sets you up pretty well to do stuff like that. So I think you'll probably be okay. So
Neat.
Yeah, good job, Quest. In 6th place, we have Bonnie Rien on Water Aetherwing Diana. I think Bonnie Rien is normally a Luxem player.
Yeah, no, you're right. Bonnie's been on Luxem for the recent history. Yes. So him also switching to Aetherwing Diana says something about what this meta looks like.
Yeah, and if you look at this list, it is card for card the Apex special. So this is
Nice.
Corax's deck 1-for-1. And obviously a very well-proven deck, a very well-established deck. And it looks like it did him very well here. So
yeah, can't argue with 6th place.
Exactly. So big shout outs to Bonnie. In 5th place, we have Kid Delicious on Wind Wake Up. That's right. It's still out there. You can't quite write it off.
Honestly, Wind Wake Up is most likely the most overperforming deck for the representation that it's had.
Oh, absolutely.
The win rate on this deck is bonkers, and very few people are bringing it.
Yeah. It's a deck that you constantly have to be afraid of, I'd say.
I think so. I would be very afraid of this deck.
Yep. I mean, this deck can just kill you out of nowhere. So, if anything, that just shows you. Maybe you should be playing Wind Wake Up.
Maybe you should be playing Wind Wake Up.
Maybe so. In terms of the actual list, it's very straightforward, I think. There is one cheeky Delu in this list, just in case you need to beat them down with a 3-4. And also quite a few steady sharpshooters who can sort of build up aim counters and convert that into big damage. So that's pretty cool.
So looking at the Wake Up win rate for this event, it is actually very positive into Water Aetherwing. Which maybe, again, sample size, right? So we can only draw so much information about this. Did lose pretty horribly to Razorgale.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
you know, if these are sort of the big two for the format, then maybe it's a good choice, maybe it's not a good choice.
Yeah.
But seems like it has a pretty good matchup into Water Aetherwing.
Yeah, I kind of see it. It's kind of like, you know, you can tactical retreat to shut off maybe one attack, but if they've already laid down a draft, then that means they're probably swinging in twice. You can't stop all of their attacks. And if those attacks are big enough, then you probably just die.
And also Water Aetherwing never going much past 19 health.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's also very likely they could die before they even level up. So these are very possible things. So good call. Good call, Kid Delicious. Very nice. In 4th place, we have Sebastian on Water Aetherwing Diana.
Oh, look at Sebastian driving up that Minth Spirit of Water win rate.
I love it. Love to see it. So, yeah, this is a pivot from the TM32 Razorgale list. So I think this is kind of his own brew. There's quite a few good things to be here. A lot of straightforward things, a lot of standard things we're used to seeing. A one-of Mustang in the main board is good for all of that Aetherwing destruction.
And I think it is important to call out the two Etheric Reforging.
Yes.
Which at this point kind of feels almost standard. But you have to remember that this is a nod to the meta. This was not a card that was included in this deck at all in the first couple of iterations.
Yes. I would also like to shout out the 2 copies of 8 of Spades in the sideboard.
Whoa.
Which I'm pretty sure is just a 3-4 for 4. Even though I think it'd be hilarious if somehow at some point this thing just woke up and swung twice, but I don't think that's happening. I think it's just a 3-4 for 4.
Sometimes you need big meat.
You need big meat. So yeah, congrats, Sebastian. That was pretty sweet. In 3rd place, we have Ducats, the other half of TM32 at this event on good old Razorgale Arasana.
And this is very much the sort of standard TM32 Razorgale list. Looks like they've gone up on Protector Raccoon a little bit.
Yeah.
So 4 Bandit, 3 Protectors now.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a change. So they took out Ensnaring and a Stifling Gyre, and they added in a Scout the Land and a Protector Raccoon for just a bit more of a focus there. Which I think that kind of makes sense.
That makes sense. I think a little bit more draw and a little bit more kind of interaction with your opponent's graveyard, since Diana is really all about that graveyard.
Yep, absolutely. So this is a pretty solid list. And yeah, I mean, this is a thing that you have to really, really respect and fear, because the moment it drops all of its stuff, you might not be long for this world. So yeah, great showing by Ducats here. In second place, we have Asuna, also as alluded to on Wind, Razorgale, Arasana.
And this looks very much like the TM32 list. There's a couple of cards swapped in and out here and there. We're seeing 110 the land. We're seeing the Stifling Gyre still in there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have the 10 the land, and we have the cheeky Mustang in the main board, which I think you absolutely need at this point. Unbroken Mustang becoming an all-star.
It's true. He has stepped on so many ether wings at this point.
So many things have been just broken under his hooves. So, I mean, this is not traditionally the list we see Asuna on, but he did great with it.
Yeah.
I think all that wind practice probably.
Yeah, second place, a solid performance.
Absolutely solid performance. But of course, we have to shout out the first place winner. Team True Caben on Water Allies CL.
So this is the neatest thing I think about this event.
Oh, yeah.
Is that Water Allies is, I'm not going to say back, but is a very good meta call into this specific set of the top decks.
In the right room, this deck can dominate, and it just so happened that this was the right room.
Yeah, so I think the important things to call out are the Guardian tricks, which work out really well against Razorgale. Mm-hmm. So you have the Vapor Jet Shield, you have Storm of Thorns, a lot of ways to prevent damage, and a lot of ways to deal with kind of the attempt at global spells.
Yeah, this is also sort of magnified by the fact that he's also running 4 copies of Topsy Decree, which means he can Spell Shroud himself. This also works double duty because Aether Wing is very popular, and Topsy Decree notably hoses the graveyard.
Sure does.
Quite badly.
Along with 4X Bandit, so, not skimping on the raccoons.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And then a pile of defenses.
There's
if you
so
want
many
to
good
attack,
allies.
if you want to attack Caben, you are going to have to spend a lot of effort to get through these walls.
There are fluffy shopkeeps. There are unyielding Wraith cards. That's 2 walls.
That's incredible.
That's insane. Aquifer Senescals, notably, this deck, because of how well it blocks, it can generate enough omens so eventually these Aquifer Senescals can enter Awake, which is crazy. Frostborn Paladins. Tweedledees.
Yep.
And if for some reason you manage to get enough damage to knock one of these blockers out, we have Corhazi Trappers.
Yeah.
Like, you're not getting through that. It's really rough. Add on to this with some of the taxing effects of Nia. You have Snow White in here to just ruin your level ups. And Zhuang's here also. You have so many unique allies, you're just going to slowly beat them down with this guy.
Absolutely. So the thing I want to call out here is the way that this deck plays is slightly different from the way that you would typically see Water Allies play.
Yes.
It's almost less of a tempo deck and more of a control deck.
Yeah.
Because what it's doing is it's sitting behind these walls and slowly building up omens. And those extra omens can give it card advantage late in the game to kind of keep it steady with whatever the opponent is doing.
Yeah.
And if what your opponent is doing is something that Water Aetherwing is doing, trying to attack just straight up through these allies, you're going to have a hard time.
Yep.
If you're doing Razorgale things, you're going to have a hard time because of all the spell defense.
Yep.
This deck does kind of roll over to the high, level 3 spell strategies that we were seeing in the previous meta that are now sort of mostly absent in the field.
Yeah, so if this ran into Oblation, it would kind of explode. If it ran into Seiryu, it would probably also kind of explode. Thankfully, that was a not huge amount of the field.
And in fact, Caben's only loss to a meta deck was to Sebastian on Water Aetherwing on day 1.
On day 1.
There was double jeopardy on day 2, but that was at the point where he could draw into top 8.
Yep.
So, otherwise, Caben just rolled everybody. I think there was a loss to Seiryu.
There was a loss to Seiryu, which does make sense, because that's an over-the-top one.
Yeah, but in terms of, the decks that he was expecting to face, which is very clearly Aetherwing and Razorgale, he faced, 5, 6, 7 of them, lost to 1.
Yeah, yeah. Just crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy record. Awesome deck. Awesome record. So, big congrats to Caben on showing us a new take on kind of an old favorite and showing us that, ally strategies can work if you put a little bit of thought into them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll do it.
That'll do
for
it.
For the whole top cut.
So what have we learned here today?
Yeah. Well, obviously, this is a much smaller event.
Yeah.
Right? But we've shown that sort of, it's easy to sort of focus on sort of the big names in the room. But it's really interesting to sort of also think about how you might take down the big names in the room. And with a little bit of thought and a little bit of reliance on some less tread strategies, you can make that work.
Sure. Yeah, it really does illustrate the importance of being able to read the meta.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
If you came out of Ascent Las Vegas and NA Nats and was like, man, there were a lot of people on Water Aether Wing.
Yeah.
I should be playing Water Aether Wing.
Yeah.
That's a reasonable take. But if you came out of that event and was like, man, a lot of people are playing Water Aether Wing, I should find a deck that beats Water Aether Wing.
Yeah.
That is maybe a more performant take.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think in Las Vegas and NA, we saw a much more open meta just because of the sample size of that tournament.
For sure.
Here, we're seeing a smaller, more concentrated event, which means that you can sort of take it from an angle of rock, paper, scissors, sort of like, oh, if X beats Y, either I will be X or I will be the thing that beats X.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, that does... this does come from somewhat the size of the event.
Exactly.
So if this were a 600-person event, you can't necessarily do that same thing without having a broader strategy, without having a deck that's more ready to face the field.
Yeah.
But in this case, being able to tailor your deck to specifically the things you are worried about facing at a top end, I think worked out really, really well for Capen.
Yeah. So while we can't always predict how big an event is going to be before we actually go into it, maybe if you're prepping for like a store champs or a regional or something like that, maybe some of these strategies might work in your favor.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
And a lot of that is going to be tied to whatever your expected meta is,
Yes.
If like Water Aether Wing, obviously very popular here at the Ascent level, at the Nationals level. If you know that the 3 best players at your store champs are going to roll in with Genbu or Fire Luxem or whatever it is they're going to play, like take that into account.
Yeah. Have a pulse on what people in your local group are playing. It's good to know how your deck works, but it's also important to know how your deck works in the context of the people that you will run into. So,
Although, freely admitted, if you're kind of waffling, just take Water Aether Wing.
yeah. Water Aether Wing is great. You have until the rest of the national season before you worry about the strides going away. So,
Absolutely.
So have fun with it while you can. Anyway, so that'll do it with our coverage of EU Nationals, which will bring us to the Endphase. And since we got a good bit of feedback on it last time, we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk about some proposed Pantheon brews that I would like to run by.
Okay.
And I would like some feedback on. So
I would love to know what you have in mind.
So, as previously mentioned, I had a Wind Potions Arasana, which I like quite a bit, and I have a Fire Water Suited Rye, which is absolutely a pile. I still feel stubbornly like I should use it, mainly because I have a foil Razio that I need to find a home for in some Pantheon deck out there. That's very, very important to me. But I have a project that I've been trying to figure out, which was, how do I take the card Balm Shot Nurse and put it into a deck? This started as a terrible meme, in which I think this card is cute. I would like a lot of copies of it. Now I have a bunch of Curios sitting in my binder, and I need to do something with them. So there was a question of how to make Balm Shot Nurse into a viable strategy. Balm Shot Nurse, for any of you who are not cultured enough, is a 3-cost, I want to say 1/4 ally, which you can rest to recover 3 if you are distant.
So this is toxic Luxem recovery, right?
That is, yes. So I was like, a lot of the things that make you distant are not restricted to being a ranger. So what can I use to make a bunch of healing? And I immediately looked at Photic Blade and Light Veil Agent and Elian Luster's Loyalty.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, how can we turn all this healing into damage? So that's kind of where I've been going. There's obviously a lot of different sources of healing, but there's also sort of the question of like, okay, at what point do I say, hey, this Balm Shot Nurse would be pretty sweet, but it would make it better if I just cut the Balm Shot Nurse. And this is the problem that
Pantheon.
Exactly. So this is the struggle that I am running into, which is like, how do we make the Balm Shot Nurse worth our while? So
for my purposes, I am in a position where all I really want to do right now is play Ayala.
Oh yes,
And
Ayala's great.
This could very well be in some kind of weird like Wind Phantom Alice deck.
You could.
I like maybe Galebind, Ayala, Cake Buffet, I could do that in Standard. I could do that in Pantheon. I don't know. It feels like there's a lot of different places to put Ayala that you can really take advantage of her. And I have to figure out what is just the most heinous thing that I could suppress over and over.
Oh, yes, it's true. You know, there are a bunch of wind element boons that give you bonuses for suppressing things.
Yeah, that's true. This could just be Byakko.
This could be the Vanitas special.
Oh,
the
brutal.
all Vanitas all the time. Although I guess Vanitas does not give you exalted, so that's
Exalted
unfortunate. So okay, that does not
bad.
work. All right. So we will cancel that one. But yeah, there's a lot of options out there.
I'm wondering if maybe this is like a Byakko horses angle.
Oh, it could. Oh, that would be sweet.
I could run Winds of Destiny.
Yeah, that'd be great. What is it? The Fleetfoot Filly could get in there. That could be a lot of fun too. Yeah,
it's all coming together.
Yes, there's a lot of things. Yes.
Well, I can't wait to throw my pile of suppress mechanics at you next time we play Pantheon.
Yes, well, thankfully, should hopefully be able to heal through all of the big aggressive horses that are flying my way.
Sounds like a plan.
Hopefully. So, yeah, if you guys out there have any ideas or suggestions for Pantheon decks that you think we should consider, please leave them in the comments.
Oh, yeah.
I'm special.
These comments better be full of absolute piles. Everybody wants to know what you're playing in Pantheon.
I am so excited to see this happen. So, anyway, that'll do it for us today on the Corhazi Outlook. Our next episode will be covering Oceania Nats. I hope you all look forward to it there. I'm kind of curious to see. Oceania, I typically associate as the home of some of the really, really intense Water Allies players.
Yeah, right? I was going to say, if Water Allies did well here, we're going to be in for quite the treat next time.
I'm hoping that people are continuing to cook and bring us some really spicy stuff.
Also expecting to see a fair amount of Merlin.
Oh, there was basically no Merlin at this event. We need the Merlin comeback. Especially by Southeast Asia time, I'm expecting a lot of Merlin. I'm kind of expecting to see a decent chunk of Alice Merlin, actually. Oh, yeah, that's actually going to be definitely a big thing. I have heard rumors that Limbo is out there winning Store Champs with Water Chessmen. So maybe, just maybe, we'll see something crazy.
Wild.
Who knows? Anyway, that and more will await you on the next episode. So please look forward to our next episode covering OCE Nats. But until then, take care.
Take care.